Hi, this is Talkin Table Top 5, where we go over the top 5 games of different categories. As always, my name is Danny, and this beside me is Trevor,
Yep.
also known
Almost
from a
forgot my
lot of
own
other
name.
videos. Yeah, it's a good thing I remembered, right? So today we are going to go over drafting games, specifically games where you're drafting cards, either from a set tableau on the table or drafting cards mainly as a hand. That tends to be the
Pick
most
and
common.
pass.
Yeah, so we're gonna start right off the bat with number five. My number five is Medieval Academy. It is a uh, medieval themed game where it's very simple. You're just drafting a number of cards, one per turn, and passing the cards, and they're just numbered, I think, one to five. And as you draft these cards, you move along in this little track. um, Once you get to a certain point on the track, you either score points or whoever at the end of the round is furthest along in that track, like slaying the dragon, rescuing princesses, training, jousting, all sorts of different things, is the one who gets the points. So the most points at the end of the game wins. But it looks incredibly simple, but there is some meat to the game. I mean, even though you're just drafting numbers, it's like playing poker, but you're drafting a hand of cards. It'd be kind of weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this works pretty well. So Medieval Academy, number five.
Nice. My number five is a game by Antoine Bauza. I believe it is also currently Asmodee that is printing it. Seven
Yeah,
Wonders.
Asmodee.
Um, Pretty fun drafting game. Teaches you a lot about history ish. Like, I didn't know what the Seven Wonders of the World were until I played this game. Um, Plus, one of the buildings is a dispensary in Ephesus, and you can just get a lot of stone, which I found out the very first time I played it. So
No,
there's jokes there about yeah.
of
So
course. Yeah.
jokes aplenty. But yeah, it's a pick and pass card game. You've got a few different options of things you can draft. You can start wars with neighboring cities. Get just tons of resources yourself and just try to build the biggest one, and then ultimately improve your wonder to its ultimate final glory. And yeah, then it's you.
Drafted for points.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you essentially score up at the end, and whoever has the most points win.
Yeah, well, one thing that's common with Antoine Bauza games like that, like Seven Wonders, is there's so many options on how to score. Everything scores in its own way, which is
Yeah.
really cool. Yeah.
Also, one of the things is that I like is that it's not language dependent. So even if you cannot read English,
Yeah.
you can play it
Definitely
because it's all
common
pictures.
with an Antoine Bauza
Pretty
game.
much all of his.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think he's used the word ever, and not
I
that I'm
don't. I
aware
don't
of.
think he speaks. Um,
Probably doesn't. Number four is mine is a small box game by Passport Games.
no, it is. Well, it was Action Phase.
Action Phase, yeah.
Now
Now
it
it's
is Indie Boards and
indie boards
Cards.
and cards, yeah. So Kodama, and it's a beautiful game where you're drafting specifically from the cards that are on the table that are available to you, and you're building off of this tree. And what's great about it is I love games where you have you're not trying to lay it out like tiles in a grid. No, you're building branches off of it. And even though that's not required of the game, it just ends up having this beautiful, beautiful tree. And so you just count the features that are on it, like clouds, stars, um, mushrooms,
Worms,
worms.
mushrooms.
I think those are
There's six
more.
of them.
Yes,
Yeah,
there,
fireflies and
fireflies.
uh, there's another
Yeah,
one.
there's another one. But you count up those features and you're trying to score a number of points. The best one to do it, building off of those combinations, does so. And there's a lot of other cool things you could do, like seasons and whatnot. It works really
Season
well.
modifiers.
I,
One of
I
the
like
few
it a lot.
games that I've ever seen that actually includes the Kodama Sprout cards, which are essentially the Kodamas are what you score at the end of a round or season. The Sprouts are ones that are specifically designed to be super powerful and tells you exactly which one you play
Oh,
in
yeah.
which round because they're designed for kids. So it's one of those where they actually had the forethought to put a way into the game so that kids can try to keep up with their parents when
Yeah.
they're playing it.
Yeah,
'Cause-
which is so great. I mean,
yeah.
it's great that they're considering it doesn't have to be a kid game in order for a kid to be competitive against an adult, which
Yeah.
is good for both the kids and the adults because the adults would just otherwise, you're like, nah, I'm
Yeah.
destroy you. I don't want to play.
It's
Why
one of
would
the
I?
and then you hit that age where you realize your parents are throwing games of Clue so you can win.
Yeah. Sad times.
Crying
So
shame.
what's your number
Number
four?
4 for me, from Smirk and Dagger Games, is Nevermore. I'm usually not big on drafting games so much because there is a tendency for what people call hate drafting.
Yeah.
Especially in certain collectible card games and things when they use the drafting format. People will draft the best cards out of it just so no one else can have it. Not necessarily because it's useful, not necessarily because they want it, but just so the other person can't have it. And Nevermore takes that idea and goes, all right, this is a drafting game solely on
Yeah.
hate drafting. So it's that I'm going to take the good cards and pass all the ravens to the next player. The next player sees all these ravens coming his way, and when you get 5 ravens, you get the most powerful thing you can do in the
Yeah.
game.
Otherwise, they're pretty bad.
Yeah, otherwise it's terrible.
Yeah.
But then he gets 5 of a kind ravens and he's like, "Well, thanks for passing me all those ravens." So, you
And
have
you
to
win
be
combo
you have
almost.
to like it forces you to actually take some crap cards just so that you don't make the next player ultra powerful. So Nevermore, really fun game. Plus it's got a definite feel of like a Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah.
Hence
Great
the name.
theme. Yeah. The theme is
And-
so bizarre.
And it's a like an attacking game where you have life that you
Yeah.
can lose, and when you die, you're not out. You just become a raven.
Yeah.
And then
you
if
can
you
become-
get good enough combos, you can turn back into a human and be
Yeah.
back in the game.
Or
So-
you can win as a raven by
Yeah.
killing everybody else.
which I have done,
Which
and
is
it
so
a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's absurd.
So Nevermore,
Yeah.
number 3.
So my number 3 is kind of like your number 5. It's Seven Wonders Duel. It's specifically only the 2-player version. Where if you've ever played Solitaire or like Klondike, as it's called, you're just kind of building those tiles. This kind of works the same way. You have a bunch of cards that are some face up, some face down, but they're in this beautiful pattern on the table. And you can only draft the cards that are coming up from or that are not covered up by other cards. So as you're drafting, it's no longer look at a card, look at your opponent.
Yeah.
Here you go.
So-
No, this is
Yeah.
everybody's building off the same thing. It's like, oh, well, I know what you want.
Yeah.
I know what I'm definitely want to get now. Like, because it works that way because it's both visible for everybody instead of trying to remember a hand of cards, which would never work in 2 players. But Seven Wonders Duel just works really well. There's that tug of war tension, getting the sciences. It replaced Seven Wonders for me
And I
easily.
believe that one is also Asmodee,
Yep, Asmodee.
which
And
is,
also Antoine Boza.
Yeah, and Antoine Basil.
Yeah.
And it is coming up on this season's Asmo Play tournaments, which I'm
Yes.
super excited for because you're going to get like a ton of metal replacement tokens and the Statue of Liberty
Yeah.
as a card. There you go.
Yeah.
So my number 3 is actually a game by one of my favorite companies.
That's
And
no
it was
longer with
Crash
us.
Games, then became Crash of Games, then I think went back to Crash Games, or maybe stayed Crash of Games. But really, really cool company. I cannot remember the designer's name, but the game's name is Council of Verona. It is essentially the Romeo and Juliet themed drafting game. So you have the entire cast of Romeo and Juliet as cards that you draft from. So you take all the cards and you pick one, pass the whole group to the next person. They pick one. This goes around until you've picked, I think it's 3 different people. And then on your turn, you choose to play one of those people, whether into the council or into exile. And then you have point tokens that you can potentially place on some of them. And depending on which card you played, they'll have special abilities to try to move people into exile or back onto the council, things like that. There's even a poison expansion which can kill people off, which is a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
And then a corruption expansion now too, which is pretty awesome.
I haven't
but
tried that one.
I actually just got it. It's pretty cool. But yeah, so Council of Verona, the artwork is pretty sweet on it. Definitely would check it out if you haven't watched the episode of Tabletop on it. That's a good one. Yeah.
So our number 2s are probably going to be pretty quick. My number 2, Nevermore.
Already talked about it.
Yeah, well, exactly what he was saying is just I hate drafting works really well in that game because it was designed around it. Otherwise, it's one of the most annoying things you could ever have in a drafting game. He saw the opportunity in it and said, "All right, let's make it hate drafting the game." Beautiful.
Well, and then you got Spectres of Nevermore, which you can add to it, adding variable player powers.
Yep.
So
Finally,
now each, the Telltale Heart is one of them, which is awesome.
Yeah,
so now every player can have a different ability too. So
yeah. So it works really
better.
well. Beautifully simple. Nevermore. Number 2.
My number 2 is the same as his number 4. It's like they swapped. This was not planned. So mine is Kodama, the Tree Spirits. Again, really cool tableau style drafting game where you have the 4 face-up cards. So it's not a secret hand draft. And it's the only game I've come across that includes a little Kodama meeple.
Yeah. That was a nice little touch. You didn't have to do that.
And little Kodama like cardboard punch out tokens that you can set in your tree and take a picture.
And put
it on social media. So it's pretty great.
Hugely unnecessary.
Yeah,
but
it's
awesome.
It's nothing more than style and fluff, and I'm a sucker for
It
good
works.
style.
No, it's really good. So our number 1, and I say our number 1 is because
It happens
it's
to be the same one again, unplanned.
Yeah, Sushi Go Party.
Yep.
Oh my goodness, this game is
Right
so cool.
games.
Game right. You're knocking out of the park. Your quality is so good.
They are killing it.
I know,
right now.
they took an already good game with Sushi Go, a really good game, and decided to make it 5 times better by adding in like 20 plus cards, different combinations,
Different types,
a scoreboard,
Yeah.
which was needed.
The variable menu. So
The
now
variable
it's
menu,
not just
yeah.
like it's the same exact number of cards every time you play, and you can begin to card count and be like, well, I know that there's 10 sashimi in the deck, so there's a good chance that in this round there's going to be at least 3, so I'm going to pick that.
No.
None of that, because the next
It gets
time you play
reshuffled
it,
every
maybe
time.
they decide to take sashimi out and instead put in miso soup. And yes, it is all sushi items, and they are all anthropomorphized, and they are the most adorable things you've ever
Yes.
seen in your life. And if you don't think so, you're wrong.
And what makes this game so funny is because they took these different sushi or food-based items and they made a theme around it. Like eel, the first time you have it is disgusting. It's negative
worth-
3 points.
Yeah,
But then
-2.
-2, but then the second time you have it, it's like, oh, well, it comes out and it ends up being 7 points, yeah, if you have both of
Because
them.
the first time you try eel, it's like, oh, that was awful. Actually, that wasn't that bad.
Yeah, or tofu. It's pretty good. It gets better. The third time, too much tofu. It's 0 points. You know, it's just, what games do that? It's all just
So
drafting
they
and
actually
scoring points. And
find
it's beautiful.
reasons for why these all score that way.
Yeah,
So that was
so-
a really, really cool one.
Sushi Go Party, Game Right
and
Games.
and again, soy sauce bottle meeples.
Oh yeah, the little.
So
the
your
little characters
score
with soy sauce
trackers
bottles.
is a little soy sauce bottle moving around the track.
Yep.
So that's pretty awesome. So Game Right, good job. Now you just need to print like 5 million more so that more people can get it.
Yeah,
Because that's all we want.
big
is more
tournament
Sushi
kit.
Go.
You know,
And yeah, tournament kits, you know.
Sure.
Some promos.
some promos. Why not? More add-on cards, expansions.
I'm not saying that, you know, Asmodee's not doing tournaments, but Game Right, you should too.
Yeah. So that was Talkin Table Top 5 with drafting games. Join us next week for another category.
Yeah.
We'll see you then.